So we just integrated with OpenAI from scratch and built our own API using Bubble's API connector. But now I want to use a plugin that has that already built out for us. And if it has a plugin, why would we build it ourselves? So let's get into plugins. You can see this is the API connector that we just built. But if someone went ahead and built a plugin, because anyone can upload and build plugins for Bubble. So let's see if somebody was nice enough to have built a ChatGPT plugin. You can see that a bunch of people have built plugins. I mean, there's a whole list of ChatGPT plugins, and they're all going to be a little bit different. But let's select one that I like. We'll select this. You can see, based on the installs, how much other people like them. So we'll install that. Done. And then you can see it kind of lists out, again, this is somebody not from Bubble that wrote out this description and gave us all of these actions. I mean, look how many actions that they made. This is like a very robust plugin they built for us. Now you're gonna wanna get your API key, and that's all you need to make the plugin work. Simply just type in bearer, and then you'll have your API key. Now notice there is a dev and a regular. So let's talk about that for a second. When you're building your application in Bubble, it's gonna automatically be default to a dev environment. It's not live. You should be the only one using it or whoever's working on the application. When you go live, meaning end users are going to be using it, you might have a different API key. For example, Stripe has a test API key and a regular API key, or a live version. So when you're developing in a test environment, you're going to use the test API key. When you're live, you want it to be that live API key. That's important to note, so keep that in mind when you're developing. But let's go into our workflow. Let's redo that button. So instead of using our own plugin or our own connection to the API, let's use the plugin. You can see we have a ton of different options now available to us that we didn't have to do any setup for. So we'll select OpenAI Create Chat Completion. And you can see now the setup is a little bit different. It's not the same as we had before. You can see in messages, it now has role of user and then the content hello. Well, how do we make this hello dynamic? Because in our example, we were able to do that in the backend, but now it wants us to do it here. Well, it's simple. Let's click on just that section and get rid of hello. Now we're going to want to insert dynamic data just right there, and we can still do the same thing. Input A's, value. So this will remain the same, everything in white, and then in blue is going to be the dynamic piece. And that's important. And that is all we need to set it up. I mean, that was maybe 30 seconds of setup, and we're already set up to integrate with OpenAI on our Bubble application. But let's set our state element again, or our state variable. Let's set the state, select the group A elements and our AI response. And again, here for the value, we're just gonna select the result of step 1, like we did previously, and then the body's choices, the first item, and then we have the message content. It should highlight blue, meaning it's accepting that value. We'll close and we'll come to preview, and it should be working right out the box with little to no setup. So let's see. What color is the sky? Submit, and we'll run through this again together. We'll run next. We can see it does take that dynamically. So we have our input A's value. If we click on that, see what color is the sky. We'll run next, and you can see we already have our response. So we did get it in that first item. Let's look at the whole thing together. See all of the options we have, and then we can come to body's choices. We'll see it's in the message content as it was prior, and we'll run next. And honestly, I don't know how long that took us, but it was probably a minute worth of setup to do what took us maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes in the last video. And that's why learning this skill is so valuable. You can make applications like this so much faster than you could if you were learning how to code, which will take you months to learn, and then you have to actually do the coding, which takes you way longer than it does than to install a plugin and enter one piece of information. Now we have ChatGPT on our own application. It's so much faster, trust me. Now at this point, if you've been watching and you haven't yet taken a break, go outside, touch some grass, get some sunlight, get a coffee, and then let's continue into the next lesson because we're very close to getting to our capstone at the end of this module. So I'll see you in the next one.